Welcome to the WAAAGH Tactics After Action Report, where I give you my real time gaming experience, thoughts, advice, tips, and tricks, show my mistakes that are made, and what I think and how I would correct them. So, of course, this is meant to be fun and informative. So, it'll be nice and concise. Let's get into the mission. So, it was a mission I, hidden supplies, GW. Deployment was search and destroy. I was going against world eaters, and the world eaters did go first. Of course, there's five objectives there's four objectives in the middle of this, across the middle of the table because hidden supplies. And whenever I play this matchup, I want to go punch people on their side of the field on their natural expansion, which we'll see when I actually play this. Now, as for my list, typical warhorde, some of these are basics and some of these are just things I felt like using. I wanted the stress test, and I'll explain why. So we have a beast boss, very basic, very reliable. A Gazgul Traka with the big mech, and follow me, lads, of course. Then we have a war boss in mega armor, the weird tool here. He has cunning but brutal. It's because with the saturation of Zod, Gaz, and so many bodies and blade of wounds, of course, with these the rest of my list as well, you'll see adds into this. I just have too much stuff to try to dig out. And a lot of the times the war boss and mega armors can survive and fall back. And that's what happens actually in this game, which is fun. Then we have a Zagrat Wartsnaga. Again, because I am not paying for a boy mob with another mob of pain boy and a war boss, for example, which is the other archetype that's very viable in this warhorde right now. I went for Zod, and then like I said, on top of that saturation, I added the war boss and mega armor. So a bit odd here takes, but I felt like they were pretty good. For what I was looking for, yet it was very elite, and I'll talk about that more. Of course, the 10 snaggers for the beast boss and the 20 boys. We have two trucks and a battle wagon. That's kind of how I feel comfortable with my transports for my staging. I would say you could, of course, use one more truck, but I felt good with what I had. Then we have two units of flash kits as 10 mans, very good for like uh how using the strats on them feels good. Sorry, and it's investment. But I would say their shooting, of course, is unreliable, but it feels good to have at least some sort of shooting, right? So I was stress testing. Do I want, two big 10 bricks? How many flash kits do I really want? What I really need? I love their hybrid utility. Love flash kits overall. Two units of Gretchen. One is for Zod. One is for your home field, just for farming CP. But of course, I'm going to sticky that with my boys unit. Then we have two units of commandos. Again, another niche tool or pick that I picked here. I felt like I didn't have enough units, and I wanted to be able to split these units up to have a bunch of five mans if I felt like it. Also, because I wanted to create space with infiltration because I had spent so much points on these big packages inside transports or these mobs on the field. So and I'm not sure if I'll talk more about those Mandos, but it was fun. I'll tell you that much. It was very fun. As for my opponent's list, real quick, he was playing Berserker's Warband. He was practicing for a teams event. He's a regular 4-on-1 type player, and he's really efficient with these guys. And he decided to play with 50 Corn Berserkers. So he had two 20-man units and a 10-man. He had a Karn the Betrayer, Lord on Juggernaut, and a Slaughterbound. One Rhino, triple minimum size units of Chaos Spawn, an 8-bound, an Exalted 8-bound, a Goremonger, and a Jackal. So he decided to not attach his characters to any of his. He kept Corn. I mean, not Corn. Karn with 20 man, but he kept the Slaughterbound off one of the 8-bound units, and he slept the Juggernaut off the unit because he felt like he wanted more activations and units to trade. So I have pictures of the deployment. My thought process going into this. So here's my 20-man unit of boys right next to Zod. Like I said, I like to play and attack the enemy's natural expansion. So I stacked both of my mobs on here. Now you'll see in this game though, what I do is I do mess up with the snagger unit. I do not use it appropriately at all, but I was trying to keep it safe yet involved in this side of the field. I've stuck a 10-man unit in a truck for flash kits, a 10-man in the battle wagon, and then the mega knobs alongside them in that battle wagon. And then I have stuck the Mandos out, as you can see, and I'll show in a little bit, to act as a big screen. I am worried about getting touched, my transporters getting touched by these spawns early and kind of locking them in place. So I am playing somewhat tight, and it is search and destroy, like I said. As you can see, as I won the deployment roll off, so I took a 10-man unit and I tried to string it alongside here. Now I did make a mistake. I could have accentuated this coherency. Like you can see here, I'm way too close to each other. Some of these are a little sloppy, but it's okay. We were getting stuff set up, trying to play pictures. But I could have sent this out further and kind of block this off, right, so that these guys can't come around the corner. But I failed to do that. So he did get to attempt a charge on this 5-man unit, which I was actually trying to hold back for another type of screening or just to bait him out from just not being able to get on his own objective. So on the other side of the field, though, again, he was pressuring with these small units of chaos spawn. So he has a chaos spawn here that is going to make a long bomb movement to attempt to charge this truck with the flash kits. And then he has his infiltrators right here for his goremongers to secure what he feels safe in because of that. So he wants to take my side of the field. And then we have his other Chaos Bomb, which will show right here when I'm in my other picture. Everything else is pretty staged up, as you can see, with between his Slaughterbound, inside these little terrain, this 10-man unit, and then his 20-man unit with Karn is over here on this side of the field. So this is a naked 20-man unit of Zerkers right here, right in front of us. On the other is, and you can see with the next picture, he's still moving these guys around. So, like I said, these guys are going to come and make their way here. They're going to end up right here though, and not make the charge into the truck. But you'll see them in other further pictures as everybody moves up with his scouting, because now he's trying to take the initiative away from me. As you can see though, I've tried to make a big 10-man unit of wall, and then I made another 5-man unit wall because I don't want him to be able to just missile straight and touch my truck. Of course, you could say maybe you'll end up some heroics and such, but you could also end up just being on the bad end of things and getting multi-charged, and maybe the back end of your mob touched, and then back end of your mob touched, your bosses aren't there. There's a chance you don't kill units. It can get all out of hand. So you want to be reserved in the sense that not let people take the initiative from you when you're playing against world eaters, because though we're favored, they can kind of missile into you and kind of put you on your back foot. And I was stopping that. So they did end up going first, like we said, and these were the movements he made. So world leaders go first. He goes and he wants to attempt to go for these mandals to clear them. He runs up to the big screen and starts to try to clear it off. He uses that one jug character, awesome conversion he has, by the way, right there to take off the mandos. He runs up with his jackals after they've stickied his home, and he's run up and decided to try to use them to clear. This is also another lesson for me. If you don't have like a Storm Boy, for example, right? As you can see, I decided I'm not gonna play Storm Boys. I was very aware of that, but I just wanted to do it just for the sake of it. He didn't respect anything not being on his home, and he just left because he knew he would never get it. But it was also because the mission itself, right? So there's context for why people would do this, but it was cool to see him throwing all his chaff forward. So that's the pros and the cons of throwing all your mandos forward. I was thinking, well, I could lose 240 points here if he just erases all my mandos. But looking at how this matchup goes, I want to get him to invest as much trash or small units as he can, so that on my WAAAGH turn, I can make contact with the core, the most valuable, or at least a lot of the most important things to kill or tough on the list, and really dig out, the intestines or the guts of his list, not really um, wait and allow him to choose when he throws his trash out. So this was very much a calculated decision to allow my Mandos to die. Not all of them, because I didn't actually want these guys down here to get them. So this was a miscalculation for me. Could have screened them better, or had these guys a little further back. But these 15 were very much taken. I'm going to let them all die to see what he'll take out to come give me, and then from there I'll respond with my army. So he comes out, clears the Mandos, doesn't make the truck charge, and then he goes on to his objectives, like we said. Then we go on to my turn. Well, I'll say is things didn't go exactly as planned when I was going offensively for like my calculated shooting with my flash kits, but that's okay because you should never rely on your shooting. That being said, I also feel like I did invest a bit too much, right? This was again in the same line of, well, I'm going to respond, but I'm going to saturate you with a bunch of stuff that I don't care about, like my transports that much, to get you to now invest your second wave of actual hitting targets. So because I have to make contact with his 20-man units or his valuable elite infantry on my go turn, I need to get that units to come out on when I want them to, and not just be able to sit back because they're faster than me in those little missile trading in type units. Again, though, was a weird mistake by me with these Snagas. I wasn't really sure what I want to do with them, and I was kind of eager. So I took him out, touched this objective here to make sure I flipped it and to kind of retain it. And we'll see how that ends up going for me. But it was a bit of a maybe early investment that I didn't really didn't need to do. Then we had these 10 flash skits get into a fight with this chaos spawn. They had shot them, charged. They had shot and charged. They couldn't, finish them. They had whiffed on their shooting. And then this 10-man unit of flash skits had cleared the unit in front of them, but then also had shot some of these goremongers, but wasn't able to clear them all. So there's still a couple behind that building. We'll see what goes on with that in a second. But I did need them for marked for death and no prisoners. So it was very important that I went for these kills. On his first turn, he got call and assassination. So dead secondaries on his first draw. There was something that was good off here, strategically speaking. I knew that on the following turn, he was going to be able to take these stupid dudes and come charging into me. Again, I don't like when world eaters come and try to stick me in my own deployment zone and choose the terms of engagements. So after everybody starts fighting, I let these guys fight and everything goes on. I end up realizing he's within an inch of that wall when I'm doing my consolidations, and I end up getting this unit of flash gates able to make contact with this jackal unit. This picture was taken after he piled in with it, by the way, and it was on his turn because you can see now he's moving. But I wanted to give a good shot of this. I was able to get in contact with the wall and be close enough to that jackal unit to pull it into the fight, so it couldn't run up and charge me, which drastically makes it inferior in combat because they get plus strength and all this different buffs for making their charges. So it's always important to tag world eater units if you can, because they suck in combat when you touch them. Behind this wall, I did tag the other chaos spawn, which does become important. This whole tagging sequence becomes very important because on this turn, when he invests into me as a world eater, I fight on death with this flash kit unit. I injure this slaughterbound. I finish off all of these guys, and these chaos spawn are done. And I have also created this wall so he's not able to fully kill or really mess up this unit of flash kits behind them. So this was all calculated consolidations to make a bigger screen, right? I was trying to accentuate this wall right here. And as you can see, it pretty much worked. It just took a little bit more stuff than I wanted. Uh, and then this was another view of my screen or my wall, but also this is a good opportunity to show you my mistake. So though I consolidate and I touch this guy, which was great, and I touch these guys, which was great, and I have something here, well, oh no, you can't get through here and you can't get through here because they're within 2 inches of each other, da da da. Sorry, something the wall went away. Looks like the drawing went away for a second. All right, cool. And this from his side of the view where I took this picture, you can see the gaps in my defense, and the gap ends up being right here. Right, this is very very vital mistake that I ended up making here. In the next picture, I'll show you this. So I'm thinking, well, I've still made a wall, right? I'm thinking I've still made a wall where he can't get through me, and I'm being a little quick with it, not really taking everything into consideration. From my side, this looks safe. This looks like units most likely aren't going to get through there. There's a wall there, a building, terrain piece. I'm feeling like there's chances are my snaggers might be a bit safer than I assume they're safer than they really are. We'll say. So then we go into World Eater's turn 2. And what he does is he falls forward with his rhino. Sorry, I should have mentioned that too. I take my truck and I charge his rhino because I don't want his rhino running up and charging me. I don't want it run up and shooting all its bolters at me at will, all these different things. So I intentionally dismount my truck and charge his rhino with my truck that previous turn. So what he does is he falls back but falls forward, right? People don't realize that you can intentionally take desperate escape test. So he intentionally fell forward, which was good for him. And then this was where the mistake was exposed, where he decides I'm going to consider a multi-charge and just charge all of this. And then that allows me to pass through here because I have to make base to base. So this is a common mistake people will make against me, and I made a mistake because I'm not usually trying to screen people from running into me, right? So mistake I wanted to point out here is he was able to attempt like a 7-inch charge there, but he did end up failing. And then on the top of the screen, like I said here, these guys fight on death on this turn, which was great because I got to finish off those little chaffy units. He did pull out his 8-bound to come interact with me like I wanted. His exalted went into the battle wagon, and these guys went into the truck. The battle wagon sometimes can survive, but because he used additional CP, he was able to just kill that. He dismounted the 10 unit that I wanted him to dismount as well. And this guy is down to 2 wounds because bomb squigs and random shooting. So he's moving his units around, realized he got screened out. And this is how it looks from the top side view. Like I said, he's able to attempt this charge, but he fails it. That would have been bad for me if he would have made that charge. Though I could have, and I was attempting to make this wall, which I was proud of the wall, just didn't do it properly. Again, he comes in here, kills all that stuff, which is fine. I was prepared for that. Like I said, not sure if I needed to let it all happen, but it worked out for me. Of course, the following turn, now that I got him to go, it's pretty fast paced game from here. Not that much pictures to point out here. My plan pretty much was set up and it worked well. But again, you get to see my snag a mistake. So here my snaggers have come forward on the wall turn thinking I'm just taking everybody forward. I'm gonna make it stuck in like a proper orc. I miscounted my CP, I'll be honest. And I realized that on the following turn, I wasn't going to be able to do everything I wanted with the Mega Knobs because he has a 20-man unit of dudes right up there. I'm trying to point it out right up there. I don't have the picture yet. And they're going to come crashing down into my army on the wall turn. I wanted to fight on death and such. So I made all these charges, and then I realized he's going to interrupt and kill with the snagger. So that's what happened. I completely waste my 10-man unit. The snaggers like a noob. Totally, I was too excited, and that's what I get for not counting my CP well. On the flip side, I utilize my Zod unit perfectly. He comes down this lane, attempts a charge on Karn's unit, and ends up tagging Karn's unit with just Zod himself. Why that's important is because then a ton of these Zerkers can't actually fight. That's why these guys are so far apart. We're both kind of just looking at who can actually get involved in this fight. And he's like, oh, only this amount of 6 Zerkers and Karn can actually fight your Zod unit. Of course, like I said, they didn't charge me, so they also lost all those buffs. Way softer punching than he would have wanted to. It also means that Karn cannot run into Gaz's unit on the following turn because he's stuck in combat with Zod. He's also in combat with his run herder. The only reason this run herder is back here is because I decided to take a picture while I was doing everything because I was excited. Another way that I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't base a bunch of these dudes intentionally by calling a charge is I declared a charge into this rhino as well. So the multi charge into the rhino meant that my grots had to move this way and they had to move this way. And then once he punched me and killed me, I just pulled some of the grots off the rhino. And then as for the combats here, Gaz gets stuck in and wipes out these dudes. The 8 bound get it wiped out. The exalted 8 bound also get wiped out by Mega Knobs and Flash Kits. So then we move on to the enemy's falling turn. By this point, he knows he ends in peril because I've tagged this 20-man unit. This 20-man unit would absolutely decimate Gaz's unit, maybe get traded in a fight on death, but they would at least get to decimate that unit. I didn't want that to happen. So that's what I did. That's what is very common for you to use Zod is to really hinder those enemy problematic units that are going to kill Gaz so that Gaz can keep on moving. And that's how I like to use Zod a lot of the times in other lists as well. Again, I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, it was a more zoomed up shot picture. I only declared them and only Zod fit through here. These guys, of course, I do fix their coherency, but I was taking the picture, so don't punch me in the face about that. And another little funny thing is, yes, this Mando is alive with the bomb squig, and there's random Mandos that survived all over the field in this game. Another zoomed in shot of how this looked. His conversions are also sick, by the way. So shout out to this guy. Beautiful world leaders. So then we move on. Like I said, here's just some more screenshots of the little fun shots, thematic cinematic shots. Take out the Corn Zerker. Again, we have the Big Mac back here getting in a fight with this Drilla. His 3 damage was pretty sick here. Pretty sure that's how he took down the Juggernaut Lord. Then these guys are still fighting, just some more shots. Like I said, here is the 20-man unit that is going to come crashing down here, which is why I wanted my CP for these Mega Knobs. Now, I don't have pictures, too much pictures after this shot of what happens. So I alternate between this and the last couple shots. These are more cinematic shots of just like all the little dumb dudes that are still alive. Yes, these 2 Mandos right here are also still alive. There's just a bunch of Mandos all over the field that are just barely still alive also in this game. Then we have the after results pretty much. So after all the fights go on, Gaz, this is pretty much jumps forward to turn 4, I think. So what happens here is after Zod had held these guys in place, Gaz just got to stand there. They just got to fight Zod. Then on my following turn, I ran forward with Gaz and I decimated the 20 dudes. He came down and he decimated my flash gets and my mega knobs. But my Mega Knobs did survive to a certain amount. This guy is actually dead by the time of this picture. But what ended up happening was that Mega Knob boss was still Mega War Boss and Mega Armor was still alive with at least one Mega Knob. They fell back and they charged the back of this 20-man unit to pull it that way. So that's why this 20-man unit is not only weakened because it, took casualties and everything from fighting the Mega Knobs and fights on deaths, but the when I decided to use Cunning but Brutal, I fell back towards his objective to try to move away from his actual power fists and such. So I ran to the backside of his unit so that when I charged them, the only units that could pile into me could move that way. The also reason I did that was to keep them from going this way, because that did play a factor at the end game. Another weird shout out was these Mandos did end up getting into the enemy deployment zone where I was messing. Oh, sorry. And through this, I wasn't saying my secondaries because I was so focused on the combat, but I'll show you the scoreboard after. And then, so yeah, when I do punch Karn's unit, he fights me, of course, with his fights on death, and he really hurts this unit a lot. Karn himself survives and is over here. We shoot him and do all the stuff for him to get back up. We charge him. Then we end up inside this terrain piece. The remaining couple guys go to run over here and try to charge Gaz's unit. Isn't able to make it. And that pretty much secures the game for us in the end. Pretty much leaving just those guys on the field for him and him being tabled. Here's the scorecard if you guys are interested. I was mostly trying to point out the killing part of this game and the tactical aspects of it. Takeaways: I gave away too much too early. I don't think I needed to invest everything that bad to get him to pull out all those 8-bound necessarily. But it was used in order to get the results I wanted of investment. So not sure how bad that was, but something to consider whenever you're trying to pull that move. Then we have wasted snaggas. I could have used them post-WAAAGH to get into fights and interactions that I wanted to help clean stuff up. Instead, I threw them in early without counting my CP, and they completely wasted themselves in the game. Only thing they did good for me was flip that one objective. Sticking those 2 guys on there and them not making charge allowed me to get primary there. List is too elite for me personally, and very dependent on the wall because Zod needs the wall, Meganov needs the wall, and so does Gaz. So that's a ton of your army already relying on the wall. Though, like I said, the Flash gets fighting on death was huge. He was worried about their Overwatch to some degree, to a certain extent. So I think at least one 10-man unit feels awesome on this list. Maybe I'd go for 15 if I'm being honest overall for the list, but overall it felt nice. It's really unreliable shooting, like I said. So, and also the cultists or being T4 and Goremongers being 4 is also annoying. So maybe that's also why I feel that way. Ultimately, I had fun using what I wanted to do and mixing it up with what's meta, what's known and archetypal, and what's also just my preferred units, and also just getting stuck in with fun enhancements. So with that being said, that was the after action report. If you want more better pictures of anything of the armies, if you want me to improve these, let me know how I did or how I can do to make them better. I'm looking to make a lot more of these. So of course, thank you for supporting. And there's always one thing to keep in mind: is don't cross our wall, because we'll knock your teeth out. Another thing to check out is our sponsor, the Baron of Dice. They make high quality custom dice. If you enjoy our content and want to show some love, check out the Baron of Dice custom dice, including WAAAGH Taktiks official dice. To support us, use our discount code in the description for 5% off, because nobody likes taxes. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!